Hey Collective, it's Anne Marie. I hope all of you are having an amazing start to your week. I thought we'd pull some cards and get some messages of clarity for those of you who would like it. I'm probably going to fast forward this section because I'm going to pull from a bunch of different decks and see what we can get. So thank you to my high vibrating ancestors, spirit guides, divine beings, source of vibration. Please get some messages of clarity for those who would like it, please. Okay, thank you. All face down. Just do these three decks. We have the Dark Universe, Animal Spirits, and Shadow. Alright. Okay. Ooh. Oh. Wow. Number 32, 5. So this is something. So we have 32, the wounded adult. Healing is feeling. And for the shadow, we have dark reflection. When you look into the abyss looks back at you. Truth seeking liberation. And what's interesting is we have the ant and the rabbit. Ant is perseverance and rabbit is cleverness. So here's the ant, rabbit. So is this happening now, Spirit? I'm getting two different messages and it will be longer than 10 minutes. So which one should we pick, Spirit? If you've been going through a difficult time, it's now time to be clever and think outside of the box. There's some wounded adults. There's some adult wounds that are being, it's like some things have been happening in spirit, the universe, whatever it is you believe in, is asking you to stare into the abyss, because when you stare into the abyss, it's staring right back at you. There's some wounds that need to be looked at. And give me the best way to say it, Spirit. It's almost like you possibly have been avoiding. There were certain childhood wounds that you had, and I did a message about this some time ago, about when we don't heal certain childhood wounds, then we become the wounded adult, right? And so this is something that occurred in your childhood, or a behavior that is an unfavorable behavior or belief system, but I'm sensing you, something that occurred in your childhood that created this wound in you, right? You may believe and feel that it doesn't affect you anymore. It could be anything. However, you have now become a wounded adult. It doesn't have to be like something huge, but it's almost like, God, how many examples can we give? Hundreds of examples, Spirit. That's kind of not what I wanted to say, but if you're giving that to me. It's kind of like if you were abandoned a lot as a child, you may abandon yourself as an adult. If your parents were emotionally unavailable, you may become emotionally unavailable in connections, or you tend to be in connections with people who are emotionally unavailable. So it doesn't have to be the same thing that happened to you, but it could be like you became that, or you entered in those type of connections, right? That replayed those type of those scenarios that occurred in your childhood. You may not be making the connection. That's why Spirit is calling you to be clever in this situation, to really, if you've been really working on certain behaviors, as obviously you're an adult, but working on certain things, it's almost like I'm seeing like maybe hitting some type of roadblock, and that's why the ant is here saying it's time for you to persevere through this. There may be like, you're noticing maybe certain behaviors or patterns in your life, or you may be noticing that you date people or are in friendships with people who you're a people pleaser and they don't get back to you, or that you always give gifts, which is a trauma response, or something like that. And you may have been working through it or processing how to work through this, right? And you may feel as though you may not know what's more there, but there's something else there that needs to be looked at. And what Spirit is saying is that look back at whatever this issue is. I mean, again, I keep using the word abandonment, but if it's you always feeling abandoned, or you feel like people always abandon you, or that you're abandoning yourself, trace that back. I'm seeing the Spirit. Trace this back. Get to the root cause of it. There's not a tree on here. Oh yeah, there's trees in the background. Pine trees in the background here. Like little Christmas. Oh no, they're like temples. Never mind. They look like temples that look like trees in the background. But there are thorns around this flower that's blooming though, like the crown of Yeshua. It's like this barbed wire crown circle, if you will, around this rose. You're trying to protect some type of for some of you, you may be having a challenging time of reflecting back to yourself and admitting to yourself that whatever happened to you in your childhood, there were more people responsible and more people that should have protected you, and you don't want to look at this particular person in a negative way. It's like it's like you want to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to whatever this situation was that occurred that wounded you as a child. It's almost like this is just an example. It's almost like an awakening to when you wake up and maybe you were essayed as a child, right? And then you start to recognize that your mother knew all along about it, but you and your mother were really close, right? And as an adult, you start the veils thinning. You've been doing a lot of healing work. You're awakening. You're a chosen one, an earth angel, what have you, a shadow worker, or whatever it is. You're uncovering parts about yourself, and part of that uncovering is it's almost like the veil's trying to come up, and it's like you're shutting your eyes again. I just kept seeing someone go like this, like they're trying to reset the memory or reset what you know to be true about this trauma, this wound. And it's accepting what the past was. I would never tell anybody how to do their healing, or I always encourage people not to judge people, because we're not the ones to judge. I really don't even want to say that, Spirit, because Spirit's like, you know what? That's a common human emotion, and in response, actually it's not an emotion, but a response when we feel less than about ourselves to judge. But that's a side note, so I'm not going to get on that, Spirit. But Spirit is showing me that, it's like you don't want to see what really happened to you as a child, or how certain people played parts in the trauma that you experienced. And this is what's actually holding you back from digging deep and healing this adult wound. This is why you've done healing work, again, around abandonment, and you think you do really good, but you get to a job where you start to abandon, your morals or values, or you get into a relationship and you abandon yourself again, or you start to people please when you get in certain situations again. It's still coming up. You're still having this wound as an adult, and it's going to continue this way until you look into the abyss and look at this dark reflection, something you may not want to admit, and try to find a different way to look at it. And it's not of a judgment way of what this person did to you. It's for you to look at it and see it for what it really was, and be able to heal from that. You can deal with that judgment and the just anger that possibly will come with the realization of what these caregivers or these family members or community did to you, or whatever it was when you were a younger child and they didn't do it. The emotions you'll deal with all that, right? But this is like just finally taking the blinders off and accepting it. The abyss, it's like looking right back at you. And seeing how not healing this adult wound that was your childhood wound, by not healing it, the cycle will continue no matter what, in small, subtle ways. And I apologize, but we're out of time. If you want a personal reading, you can email me at sagingofthesoul@gmail.com. I hope you're healthy and happy, full of joy. I truly do. May you love